All right, we're diving into what might be one of the most fascinating and intense psychological showdowns you can imagine. And this isn't just, a simple clash of personalities. Oh no. This is a fundamental, head-on collision between someone whose entire existence is built on control and someone they absolutely cannot control. And this quote, it just nails it, doesn't it? For a narcissist, control isn't just a preference, it's the very foundation of their reality. It's like the air they breathe. So what in the world happens when they come up against someone who just flat out refuses to play the game?
To really get this, you have to understand that we're not talking about a simple disagreement. This is way bigger. It's a collision of two completely different, almost opposing psychological worlds.
And here it is, laid out plain and simple. On one side, you've got the narcissist. They're operating from this very fragile, constructed, false self. It's all about hiding a deep inner emptiness by controlling every little thing around them. And on the other side, you have the super empath. They're grounded, authentic, and deeply self-aware. They're not trying to control reality, they're just seeking and reflecting the truth. It's literally a battle of illusion versus reality. Now, to really get to the heart of the narcissist motivation, let's borrow a concept from the famous psychologist Carl Jung. He called it the shadow. Just think of it as all the parts of ourselves that we shove down and refuse to look at, our insecurities, our shame, our deepest fears. For a narcissist, that shadow is an absolutely terrifying place. And this is the direct result. All that charm, that arrogance, that larger-than-life confidence, it's all a mask. It's an incredibly elaborate, detailed defense mechanism built for one single purpose: to avoid, at all costs, ever having to look at that terrifying emptiness they're hiding inside. So this desperate need to run from their own shadow isn't just a feeling, right? It drives them to action. And that brings us to the narcissist's playbook, because they are masters of psychological drama, and they have a very specific set of rules they play by to stay in control and keep that shadow locked away. Okay, so here's how the game works. Step 1. They create the drama. They're the writer, director, and star of their own show. Step 2. They cast you. You get assigned a role, whether it's the bad guy, the adoring fan, whatever serves their story. Step 3. They pull your strings. They poke and prod to get an emotional reaction out of you. And that reaction, your anger, your frustration, your tears, that is step 4. That's their fuel. Without it, their whole engine just shuts down. But this is where the entire dynamic just completely flips on its head. Because the super empath has a countermove. And it's not about fighting fire with fire. No, it's something much, much more powerful. So the million-dollar question is, how do they do it? How does one person completely dismantle this game that the narcissist has spent their entire life perfecting? Well, the answer is actually devastatingly simple. Instead of jumping on stage and getting into the drama, they just take a seat in the audience. They just watch. They start to see the patterns, they recognize the manipulation for what it is, and they simply refuse to play the part they've been assigned. By setting calm, firm boundaries that come from self-respect, not from fear, they just cut off the fuel supply. And in doing that, they become the one thing a narcissist cannot possibly handle: a perfect, clear, undistorted mirror. They don't absorb the drama, they don't react to the projections, they just reflect the narcissist's own behavior right back at them. And what do you think the narcissist sees when they're forced to look into that mirror? They see everything, absolutely everything they have spent their entire life running away from. Their own insecurities, their fears, their wounds. They are finally forced to come face to face with the very shadow they worked so hard to bury. This forced confrontation, well, it leads us to the final act of this drama, the narcissist's ultimate defeat. And this is where we uncover their single greatest and maybe most surprising fear. You see, when a narcissist finally comes across someone they just can't break, it's like a hammer blow to their fragile ego. It completely shatters that delusion they have of being all-powerful, and it creates this psychological crack that, honestly, it never fully heals. Now, this is a really important distinction. Being hated, a narcissist can deal with that. In a weird way, it's still proof that they have influence, right? It confirms they matter. It's still a form of fuel. But being forgotten, oof, that's a whole other story. That is proof of total irrelevance. It's a complete erasure of their power, and it's a void their ego just cannot survive. And that is exactly why the super empath's greatest power isn't about winning an argument or fighting back harder. It's in the quiet, unbelievably powerful, and permanent act of just walking away. The door closes, the show is over, the game is won through silence. So, as we wrap this up, the real lesson here, it kind of turns back towards us, doesn't it? It completely redefines what true victory and true power actually look like, not just in this dynamic, but in life.
The big takeaway is this: real strength, real victory, has absolutely nothing to do with defeating someone else. It's all about building your own inner freedom. It's found in self-mastery, in quiet strength, and in the commitment to becoming the most authentic version of yourself you can be. Now that is a power that nobody can ever take away from you.
So I'll just leave you with this final thought. After seeing how this whole dynamic plays out, where do you find your true power? Is it in winning the argument, or is it in the quiet strength of simply walking away from a game that you were never meant to play in the first place?